receive Shabbat. I receive Shabbat. So what is it? Is Shabbat arriving, or does it require some kind of an action or an acceptance on my part? And this is not just a theoretical question, not just a philosophical question. It's a practical question. Let me start today with a number of, let's call it halachic dilemmas or scenarios where this question becomes important. Okay, so let me ask you this. First of all, I saw an interesting. Let's talk about a historical question. You may know I saw this written in the times of the Chafetz Chaim about let's say 100 years ago, a little 120 years ago. Did you know that the conventional day for making a wedding, a Jewish wedding, was traditionally held on Friday? Friday afternoon was the time for making weddings in Europe, or at least in Eastern Europe. One reason perhaps is you save on a meal. Anyway, you had to make a big Shabbos meal, you had to make a big Shabbos Shebarabacha. So they would have the chuppah right up, in the afternoon. Everyone would come to the chuppah in the town square. I guess they would eventually daven. And then the meal was like a Shebarabacha's meal, the family, the invited people. That's how it was done. And this posed a number of halachic issues. Just to be sure, you can't get married on Shabbos. Shabbos, you're not allowed to actually perform a wedding on Shabbos, but we're talking about that the meal, the festivities would run into Friday night. So what does this have to do with us? So picture you're going to a wedding and you leave, let's say at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. by all standards, I guess, is too early to accept Shabbat. Well, you can't light candles at 3 p.m. even in the winter. It's too early. There's a border. An hour and a quarter, an hour and a half maximum before sunset is the earliest you can accept Shabbat and make an early Shabbat. So you're going to the wedding. You can get dressed in Shabbat clothes, and you're having a good time at the wedding. The wedding is far from your house, and it's like, what about Shabbat candles? How do I light Shabbat candles? And this was an issue, and it created a lot of questions. You're at the wedding. By the time you get home, it's already after Shkia. Can you have the non-Jew light the candles for you? Up to what point can you light the candles? That's one question. Question number two, also historical. We have a fascinating historical eyewitness account from, I would say 700 years ago in Eastern Germany, Austria, on the, I don't know. I guess, I don't know. On one of the famous big European rivers. I don't think it was the Danube, because that wouldn't make sense unless the Danube started in Germany. I know they were in Germany, but it was a famous river town in Germany where one of the early authorities, one of the Rishonim, recounts how they would daven, they would go to shul, they would daven, come home and eat their Friday night meal, bench, then they would go for a walk. The Rav of the town, this great halachic authority, would go for a walk, and all of the townspeople or his students would accompany him on a Friday night walk. A Friday night walk. The only thing is, they would take the walk and get back, and it would still be daylight. Meaning they lit candles, they went to shul, they ate, they benched, they went for a walk. So what's that about? Meaning this precedent, this anecdote is used in the halacha to try to understand what is the border, what are the times, the objective cutoffs, what is the earliest time Shabbat enters, what is the latest time Shabbat enters, and what goes on in between. So I mentioned those two historical precedents of the weddings and of this sunlit walk on Shabbat, Friday night, as the background. Practically for us, what we have to understand really is what are all these times? We have so many times in our halacha to try to make some order in the times of what happens at each stage. And so I want to do three things, kind of give over three kind of fundamental halachic points of awareness, which will kind of enrich our understanding of how the world of halacha works. And I'll ask a couple of questions. I'll ask question number one is, you lit candles. Let's say more or less around candle lighting time. And whoop, I forgot to take the green beans out of the microwave. Whoop, something else. I want to go to shul tonight. Shul it's raining. I want to go in my car. Can you do that? Is there a conceivable situation where you can light candles and still perform prohibited labor, prohibited actions on Shabbat? That's question number one. Question number two is, you may be familiar with this. I grew up with this concept of mommy lights candles, but we, I guess the boys or the men, we have an extra 18 minutes. Did you ever hear about the extra 18 minutes? Rochelle, did you hear about the extra 18 minutes? Like it's like, God's gift to men. They have the extra. What is that about? If you never heard it, that's my question. What is this extra 18 minutes? What is 18 minutes? If you ever heard of that concept, 18 minutes, I know it has to do with matzah. Matzah becomes chametz if it passes 18 minutes. But what does 18 minutes have to do with anything? Another question is, once we get the times together, what happens if we talk about the rain. Baruch Hashem, we have rain, and that I think in the Tzfat line they publicize the Kinneret. It has the upper line, the lower line, the red line. Here you can see behind me, I have the lower red line, the upper red line. You have what is the red line on Shabbos? When is it too late? You should never have this, but I've seen this. When is it too late to light Shabbos candles? It's Shabbos candles is a big mitzvah. Chabad, when they give out the Shabbos candles, they have to tell people, these are lit. Oh, great! I'll light it Friday night. Whoa! You don't light the candles Friday night. That's a big problem. So what is the cutoff line, and how does that work? And I guess the third question will be, basically, I want to give you a gift today, and I guess the gift is a mitzvah. This is a mitzvah where you may not have been aware of. The truth is, women probably it's less prominent, this mitzvah, but nevertheless, you should be aware of it, and especially in the summertime where Shabbat starts late. How does it work when we make an early Shabbat? I'll give you a funny case. If you ever made an early Shabbat, have you ever made Shabbat at 6 o'clock when Shabbat really comes in at 7:30 or 7:40? It's a funny thing. Like I said, it could be like that situation in Germany where you could be coming back from your early Shabbat minyan, you could be going for a walk, and you see your neighbor, the rabbi, he's still driving. Hey, Rabbi, good Shabbos, happy Friday. It's not Shabbat yet for him. Oh, great, because I left those green beans in the microwave. Rabbi, could you come over and be my Shabbos goy? Can you do that? How does that work? If one person makes an early Shabbos, the other person hasn't yet made Shabbos. What are we in different planets, different time zones? How does that work? So those are all the introductions. But like I said, I want to come back and talk about briefly. We may end a little early today because in order to be with you live today, I actually had to. I didn't want to say steal a computer, but I commandeered a computer of my one of my employees here. I just said, I just need your computer. So thank you, Yeshaya. I feel bad doing that. So I don't want it to be there's something called a mitzvah haba ba'avera. You do a mitzvah, but it's engendered. You're using illegal means to accomplish your mitzvah. Okay. Now, let's talk about times, right? We say Jewish time. It doesn't just mean coming late, Jewish time. What do we mean about all of these halachic times? So let's understand first things first. Number one, Jewish time. This is a fascinating subject, which maybe one day we could talk about, not in the context of this class, really is connected to nature. It's connected to the sun and it's connected to the moon. We know that the seasons of the holidays, when is Rosh Hashanah this year, when is Sukkot this year, when is Hanukkah this year, it's based on the cycles of the moon, the lunar cycle. We know that the sun is also important to us. The sun, of course, affects the seasons, and that's why we make sure with a leap year that Pesach always falls in the spring, always after the vernal equinox, always after March 21st. But the sun plays an additional role, even a more day-to-day role. Our day, halachic day, doesn't go by midnight on my clock. Halachic day is exclusively based on the sun. When is sunrise? When is sunset? And you should just know, this is, I'm only going to put this in parentheses. I just read, in fact, I have it right here. I just found this book in the library. See how thick it is? It's called, you can't read it, it comes out backwards. It's an entire treatise on the relationship between clocks and halachic time. In other words, clocks are a relatively modern invention. And how does timekeeping synchronize with halachic time? I also saw some of a whole doctrine on that. But basically, you should know is we don't really use our watches. We don't really use a clock in halachic time. Halachic time really is demarcated with sunrise and sunset. So that's why we have to look up. We have to make it. You can't say Shabbat is at 7 p.m. As you could say that, but you can't say that ongoing. What you're really saying is Shabbat is based on sunset. Tell me when sunset is, and I'll make calculations. So as Jews, we live in two worlds. We live like in a world that you have to be. Shul could start at 8, but your sunrise and your sunset tells you when Shabbat comes in. We live kind of in two different spheres of timekeeping, and I don't want to go into right now. But here's what you need to know. There are. Let me see if I can do us a blackboard here. Leave it on this. I'm going to play with his computer. Okay, this is working. That's nice. I'm going to try to share a screen and give you my whiteboard. Hope you all see this. I hope you see me. Okay, so we have several things. The first thing that we have is, let's say, nightfall. We're going to work backwards, okay? Then we have twilight. And I use that word twilight because the Hebrew term is bein hashmashot. The Hebrew term is bein hashmashot. I didn't spell twilight right. How about that? Totally didn't spell it right? That's not how you spell twilight, but sorry, there's no spell check here. Too late, too bad. There's no G there. Is that what it is? No G. No. That looks like twilight, right? Okay. No one's calling me out. Then we have sunset. And then we have candle lighting time. Now, as you can see, I put it backwards because obviously candle lighting time comes first, then it's sunset, then there's twilight, and then there's nightfall. Why did I put it 1, 2, 3, 4? It's because as far as Shabbat is concerned, nightfall, when it's dark, and I'm going to define that operationally for Israel. This is not for America, it's not for Europe, it's not for Scandinavia, it's not for the South Pole. For Israel, nightfall will be defined as 20 minutes after sunset. Okay? Let's see what kind of a great typist I am. Okay? 20 minutes after sunset. At nightfall, it is called absolute Shabbat. We're going to call it absolute Shabbat. Absolute Shabbat means that this is with 100% certainty. There are 3 stars in the sky. This is dark. This is night. This is Shabbat. And I don't want to put it mildly, or actually not so mildly. If one performs one of the prohibited labors at this hour, 20 minutes afterwards, that is big time bad news. That is like, I don't want to say. That's really bad. Okay? Don't do that. Don't think about doing that. That is Shabbat. Okay? What about the Twilight Zone? Bein Hashmashot. The sunset has happened. The sun, the ball of the sun, the disk of the sun has descended below the horizon, but it's still light outside. That's what happens. If you pay attention, the sun can go down, but there's still light. This is the Twilight Zone. Bein Hashmashot means that it is a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It's called in Hebrew Safek Yom, Safek Laila, meaning it's a little bit of day, a little bit of night. It's literally the Twilight Zone, like as in the TV series Twilight Zone. It's not really Friday, but it's not 100% Shabbat yet. Are you allowed to perform prohibited labor? The answer is no. Why? Because there is an aspect, there is a question. We could have entered the darkness. It's very, very hard to pinpoint when is day end and when does night end. It's like a lot of things, shades of gray. So this area is a danger area. We don't do malacha. We don't even light candles at this time. Once sunset, I'm coming back to number 3 here. Once it's been sunset, the sun is down, then there is no more malacha. If you do malacha after sunset, but before nightfall in this Twilight Zone, is it catastrophic? Would is one chayav karet, excision of his or her soul? No, but it is prohibited and forbidden. It is asur, but it doesn't have the same severity as the first zone. What's the difference between zone 1 and zone 2? One difference is, and I'll answer one of my questions. If a person, lost track of time, the sun has set. You look on your clock, the sun has set. Look how modern I am. I say you look on your clock, the sun has set. You don't look at your window. You look at your clock. You know from your calendar that sunset today is at 4:43. And it's now 4:44. Do not light candles. Oh, but it's a mitzvah. No, it's not a mitzvah. It's an avera. It's a transgression. What can you do? So one difference between twilight and nightfall is that you are allowed to have a non-Jew. You can ask a non-Jew to light candles for you. That was the case in the weddings. That would often happen. They would be at the wedding and, it's already after sunset. What can I do? There were women who, I have to light candles. I have to, how can I not light candles? It's my mitzvah. No, it's your avera. Don't light candles after sunset. Don't light candles even if you think it's close to sunset. It's very hard. You may have a great astronomical calendar that tells you exactly what time sunset on your street in Tzfat. Google can tell you. However, the problem is you don't necessarily have a clock that tells you when is 4:43, 0.73210. You don't know when that time is. So if you're even within a minute or two of sunset, do not light candles. I would say within 3 or 4 minutes of sunset, do not light candles, but you are allowed to have a non-Jew. If it's already nightfall, I don't know how that happened, but it's already 20 minutes after sunset, then one is not even allowed to have a non-Jew light the candles. In such a situation, I'll tell you 2 things. These are cases that actually happen through the centuries. If a non-Jew lights the candles for you, if there would be a case like that, and I've had cases like that, again, it's only if it's up to 20 minutes after sunset. And number 2 is at that point, you don't say a bracha. You will not say the bracha on lighting candles. Because why? Because how could you say a bracha on something that you're not even allowed to do? Forget the fact that the non-Jew is not how do you say, is not the non-Jew is not obligated to light. But how could you do it? You're not allowed to. You can't say a bracha on something that you're not allowed to do. So that's worst case scenario. Let me tell you a different scenario, which may be more common. I don't know your home situation, your family situation, but this is brought in the poskim. It's written in the literature. The halachic literature talks about cases. It's getting late, okay? And, it can happen in any home. the husband sees it's getting late. And the Torah, the Mishnah already tells us that one of the roles of the husband is to say, okay, it's candle lighting time. Is it, have you lit candles? Are those green beans out of the microwave? So the Gemara already says, this is a nice Gemara, that yes, it's the husband's job to alert the household what time it is and make sure the last minute things are taken care of. But the job of the husband is to do this in a pleasant, soft tone. It's an explicit Gemara. Right? The Mishnah says, the husband says, okay, have you taken care? And the Gemara says, yeah, and he does it with a soft, pleasant tone. Okay, what happens though if, theoretically, it's candle lighting time, okay? Candle lighting time in Tzfat, as we're going to talk about in 1 second, is half an hour before sunset. Okay, it's now 25 minutes, T minus 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and, just for the humor, I'll just, and the wife is singing away in the shower, and it's 15 minutes, 10 minutes, honey, the candles, it's getting close to sunset. And again, I'm just joking about the shower. It could be something very important, urgent, that happens at a certain point already, when it looks like if she's going to cut it too close, if it's already going to be within 5 minutes, I would say, of sunset, you're playing with fire, literally. It is better, even without permission, for the husband to, yes, light his wife's Shabbos candles, or the son, or whoever's there, even at the expense of having hot cholent poured over his head. It's better to do that than to allow the family to enter into that red line, into that danger zone of coming too close to sunset. Because lighting candles is an Isur D'Oraita, it's a Torah prohibition. Once you're close to sunset, it's hard to exactly pinpoint when sunset is. So that is the action plan. That's the playbook for that, and that's again mentioned in the poskim. And you can apologize and so on and so forth, but that is what has to be done. Okay, so then we've talked about nightfall. We've talked about the twilight. We've talked about sunset. So what is candle lighting time? Candle lighting time, you may have noticed, and I think we mentioned this once in passing, differs from city to city. Did you notice that? Did you notice that in Tzfat? Maybe you didn't know this. In Tzfat, the candle lighting time listed on your calendar, if you compare it to a different calendar, you'll see it's always 30 minutes before sunset. If you don't know when candle lighting is, but you do know when sunset is, add 30 minutes before, that's candle lighting time. Yerushalayim may have a slightly different sunset, but in Yerushalayim, candle lighting time is 40 minutes before. That's not because of the geographical location or the displacement of the sun and the horizon. It's different customs. Tel Aviv, 20 minutes. In America, as far as I know, across the board from coast to coast, candle lighting is 18 minutes before sunset. So now, remember I told you about those 18 minutes I grew up with? Oh, the boys have another 18 minutes. What does that mean? So candle lighting time is the time that the woman lights candles. By the way, if the woman can't light candles, it's a man's mitzvah as well. It's equally really on both of them. There's a certain preference for the woman, but it's a mitzvah that's also on the man. The candle lighting time is essentially a designated way to do two things. First of all, it prevents getting too near the red zone. Technically speaking, I'm not talking about the one who lit candles. After candle lighting, technically, it's not Shabbat. You are allowed to, I'm not saying if you lit candles. You didn't light candles yet. You're still allowed to turn off the hot water, turn on the hot water, take the green beans out of the microwave. You're still allowed to do that. As I said, the red line is sunset. So candle-lighting time is the preferred, recommended, consensus, customary time in each place. How many minutes before do we already avoid, create that buffer zone, okay, that we don't come too close? But it's not just about that. It's also about something else. Let me show you, I guess in the Shulchan Aruch would be, where can I show you the best place? I'll show you in the, let me show you on his computer. All right, I'm not going to be able to show you on his computer. I'm sorry. All right. I'm not going to show you on his computer, but I will start a new text box here. The Torah says regarding Yom Kippur that Mitisha the Torah says that Yom Kippur starts Mitish'a be'erev, from the 9th day of Tishrei, the 7th month. Now, we know, in fact, the Torah itself states several verses earlier that Yom Kippur starts on the 10th of Tishrei. From the fact that the Torah already says from the 9th of Tishrei in the evening, the Talmud derives that we don't wait for Yom Kippur to come in at sunset. At sunset, that's like our midnight, in the secular calendar. Midnight, that's when the day changes. That's when the calendar changes. Sunset, we don't wait for sunset. We have a special mitzvah called Tosepe Yom HaKippurim, which means adding on to Yom Kippur. Meaning, we know that Yom Kippur is ushered in at sunset. However, there's a mitzvah not to wait for it to come. You actively take the initiative and accept upon yourself Yom Kippur. Does anyone remember we talked about this, I think, before Yom Kippur? There's a mitzvah to add on to Yom Kippur, meaning before sunset to say, I accept upon myself the fast day of Yom Kippur. Now, what does that have to do with Shabbos? The rabbis in Yom Kippur still, what's going on? Well, it's interesting. When you accept upon yourself Yom Kippur, what exactly is that mitzvah? And by the way, that is a bona fide mitzvah, mitzvat aseh, a positive commandment. So, what exactly are you accepting? Is the Torah telling you accept upon yourself the fast? Or is the Torah saying accept upon yourself the holiness of the day? Accept upon yourself the festival early. So this is a discussion. Many authorities, and this is how the Shulchan Aruch rules, say that it's not just the fast, Oh man, all right. Give me a real whiteboard where you can write with a marker, right? Not just the fast, also the holiday. Now, why is that important? Because if it's also the holiday, it also applies to the other holidays. Meaning, according to many authorities, bottom line, it is a positive commandment from the Torah to not just keep Shabbat once it comes in and it rolls across your doorstep at sunset, but for you also to accept upon yourself before sunset the Shabbat. Now, forget lighting candles. Let's say you're not lighting candles. Someone else is lighting candles. You have a mitzvah before sunset. It's not descript what time. It's not clear what time you're supposed to do that. But 5 minutes, 10 minutes at least to say, Ani mekabel atzmi Shabbos Kodesh. I accept upon myself. Pardon me, JFK, don't ask what your country, we're in inauguration season already, right? Don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask what you can. Don't wait for Shabbos to come to you. Ask when you can bring in Shabbos. You accept on Shabbos actively. So that is a mitzvah. And once you accept upon yourself Shabbos, each Shabbos is unbelievable. You create Shabbos. Usually we say, one second, Shabbat is heaven made. The holidays, technically, they were created, they're from the Torah, but the Beit Din, the Sanhedrin, the rabbinical court, establishes when the holidays come in because they set the calendar. They set Rosh Chodesh with the moon, with the witnesses. So that creates the whole calendar. Shabbat's the seventh day. I don't care. 7 days, 7 days. You could be in a desert. There could be no, the first Shabbat. When was the first Shabbat mentioned? In Bereshit. There weren't even Jews, right? But God blessed and sanctified the seventh day before there were any Jews even to keep the Shabbos. If theoretically there would be no Jews, there would still be Shabbos. The seventh day is Shabbos. That's true. That happens at sunset. We have a mitzvah to add, if you will, the human element by accepting Shabbos. And once we do that, it's Shabbos. Once you accept Shabbos upon yourself, it's Shabbos. Not like Shabbos of the Twilight Zone of Bein HaShmashot. Once you accept upon yourself Shabbos, you cannot have a non-Jew light those Shabbos candles. It's like Shabbos, bona fide Shabbos, nightfall, 20 minutes after sunset. You have actually created Shabbos, human-made, I don't want to say artificial, but you have made real Shabbos by accepting upon yourself the Shabbos. Now, that's what happens in the summertime. Remember I said that we have that example where we're driving to Shul, and we're walking to Shul. We're walking back from Shul because we davened early and we accepted upon ourselves Shabbos. The sun is still high in the sky, and we see the rabbi driving to Shul. So the answer is that for us it's really, really Shabbos, and for him it's really, really not Shabbos. There's no difference than if you my grandfather lived in Yerushalayim. My father lives in America. My grandfather got a kick out of it. After Shabbos, his time, he would send an email to my father saying, I'm out of Shabbos, you're still in Shabbos. So we can have that perception, but here it's two people on the same street. It's two different Shabbat zones, two different zones of holiness. So halachically speaking, so when a woman lights Shabbos candles, when a woman lights Shabbos candles, so what is she doing? She's not just fulfilling the mitzvah of lighting Shabbos candles. What she is doing is accepting upon herself the Shabbat. Now, here there was a tremendous dispute and discussion. What exactly happens when a woman lights Shabbat candles? Okay, if you take Shabbat candles and put it aside for a moment, how do we accept Shabbat? So you can say it's 10 minutes before sunset. I took the green beans out of the microwave, and now I say, I accept upon myself Shabbat. Yeah, I know I have 10 more minutes, but I want to do the mitzvah, that Tosepe Shabbat, right? Tosepe Shabbat, right? Tosepe Shabbat, that's the name of the mitzvah. The addition of Shabbos, adding onto Shabbat. I want to do that mitzvah. Okay, that's what I want to do. Now, what happens if I didn't accept it upon myself? So the Shulchan Aruch says something very interesting. The Shulchan Aruch says that, we're in Tzfat, and Kabbalat Shabbat, I'm sure you've heard this, you probably tell your friends as well, Kabbalat Shabbat was invented in Tzfat. What do you mean Kabbalat Shabbat was invented in Tzfat? What we really mean is L'Chadodi, the song called L'Chadodi, and the 6 psalms that we recite before L'Chadodi, L'Chunaranina, Mizmor Shir, right? That was instituted as the way we usher in Shabbat. So when the Ari and his Talmidim would go up to the hillside and look towards Meron and usher in the Shabbat, that's what they were doing. They were saying, we're not waiting for sunset. We are accepting in ourselves Shabbat. Now, the Halacha says as follows. Interesting. The Shulchan Aruch didn't have Kabbalat Shabbat. He didn't have L'Chadodi. Not all communities accepted this at the same time. The Shulchan Aruch, of course, in a sense, preceded the Ari. Certainly, the proliferation of that ritual and that liturgy. So the Shulchan Aruch says as follows. The Shulchan Aruch says, even if you didn't accept upon your Shabbat with words, I accept Shabbat upon myself. Once you answer Baruch Hu, right? If you're familiar with the way the structure of the evening service in Shul, in the davening is before the commencement of the Ma'ariv of the evening service, the Chazan says, Baruch Hu es Hashem HaMivorach, and everyone answers, Baruch Hashem HaMivorach L'olam Va'ed. Once you answer Baruch Hu of the evening service, it could be light outside, and you're allowed to daven Ma'ariv when it's still light outside, okay? Once you say Baruch Hu, you're acknowledging it's Shabbat. So willy-nilly, whether you mean to or not, you have automatically accepted upon yourself Shabbat. In other words, my point is that example A is when I willingly, voluntarily, consciously accept Shabbat. I accept Shabbat. Okay. Says the Shulchan Aruch, even if you don't intend to accept Shabbat, there are certain actions which are inherently defined as the acceptance of Shabbat. One of them is saying Baruch Hu, answering Baruch Hu. Even if it's light outside and you answer Baruch Hu, that's Shabbat. Says the Shulchan Aruch another thing. We have that Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat. I hope you're familiar with the structure of the prayer. Right before Baruch Hu, we say Mizmor Shir. After L'chadodi, Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat. That again, you just said a psalm to the day of Shabbat. Why are you saying a psalm to the day of Shabbat? That is an automatic acceptance of Shabbat. Says the Mishnah Brura, in our day that we say L'chadodi L'krat Kala, right? We say Boi v'shalom ateret kala ba gam berino v'tzala tocha muni am sugula boi kala, come beloved bride. There's no more accepting Shabbat than that. So once you say that, I don't care if afterwards you remember, oh, what about the green beans? You know, I live right next to the shul. I'll run home and get the green beans. Nowadays we pray at home. So you said L'chadodi. You cannot then say you cannot do any more malacha because you have automatically accepted Shabbat. So if we're talking about automatic acceptances of Shabbat, we're going to close with this. This is a major discussion. When a woman lights Shabbat candles, okay? And I'm not talking about if you're cutting it too close to sunset. If you're cutting it within 5 minutes of sunset, that's it. You know, you lit candles, that was the last piece of malacha, prohibited labor you're going to do. But what about half an hour? You do it the right way. You know, a lot of times these days that, you know, women get these SMSs, they say, the text messages, they say that, you know, we're going to try to bring the redemption. Everyone light candles 10 minutes early, half an hour early. Okay, you lit candles. You have a whole nother 40 minutes to sunset. So the halacha had a debate. There was a debate. Maybe I'll show it to you inside. Here, I think I can get to, excuse me. Let me show this to you inside. We are a text-based class, so let me try to get that. Okay, I'm going to share my screen in 1 second. Again, I'm on a foreign computer here. Okay, great. Okay. My employee is going to get me in a second. I assume you don't see my screen, but in 1 second I will show it to you. Okay. Let me just hope you can see this. Great. Now, how do I get you to see my screen? That's my question. Bump, bump, bump. Okay, here, I'll just do it this way. Okay. Now I'm gonna share my, yeah. Okay, here. Okay, I saw, by the way, you guys asked questions before. Before I show you my screen, I came off my whiteboard. Ruthie Zimberg, the husband says the bracha. Oh, Elisheva, is that my wife? Look at that. Hello, Elisheva. You know you were here? I wasn't talking about our green beans in the microwave. I thought woman takes on Shabbat after candlelighting and can't do prohibited labors. Thank you, Rochelle. That's exactly the topic we're coming back to now. So that's what I want to show you, that this is was the subject of major discussion. What is the significance of lighting candles for the woman? As I tried to point out before, there's two issues in lighting candles. One is you have to light candles early enough that you're not going to be close, even close to sunset. Get out of the danger zone. But once you're out of the danger zone, and you can also fulfill the mitzvah, you could light candles and also fulfill that mitzvah of Tosepe Shabbat, which I mentioned, the mitzvah of how do you say it? Adding on to Shabbat. But I lit candles. I want to do the green beans, and I want to do the shower, and I want to do mincha, and then I'll accept Shabbat upon myself. So that was a major discussion. Is lighting candles this like automatic? Is it like saying Kabbalah? Is it like saying Boi Kala? Is it like answering Baruch Hu, which is an automatic acceptance of Shabbat? Or no? It's a nice thing to, if you don't light Shabbos candles, but I have the prerogative. When do I want to accept Shabbat? So here, the Shulchan Aruch, I'm going to share my screen. The Shulchan Aruch brings both opinions. Oh man, okay. Can you see, Rochelle? Can you see the screen here? Can you see my screen? No, you can't see my screen. See? Hang on. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Rochelle, you see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Okay. So we'll do this. Time is short. We'll do this in English. This is the Shulchan Aruch. And it's kind of unusual for the Shulchan Aruch to bring two opinions. He cites opinions of a book called the Halachot Gedolot. Halachot Gedolot is Gaonic. It's from the times of the Gaonim. Very, very early source. Because the Sabbath lamp has been lit, the Sabbath is incumbent upon you and labor is prohibited. Meaning once you lit the candles, that's automatic. And based on this, some few women have the practice of that after they bless and ignite the lamp, they throw down the match in their hands, which they have ignited without extinguishing, because it's Shabbat. Oh yeah, I have the match. You can't blow it out because it's already Shabbos. That is one opinion. Okay. I'm going to skip for a moment. The other opinion is some dissent and say that she does not accept the Shabbat by igniting the lamp. Rather, by the evening prayer, once the cantor says Baruch Hu, all refrain from labor. Okay, that's what I mentioned before. We have two opinions. Here. Is accepting Shabbat the end all? Is lighting candles the end all and be all? The answer is that even today, this has not been entirely resolved. Best practice is that when a woman lights candles, that she should treat it as that's it. That's it. She should light the candles and nothing else should happen afterwards. In extenuating circumstances, something very, very urgent, like you forgot to put the plata on or turn off the refrigerator light, something that will like affect your whole Shabbat, it is permitted to do the stipulation, the t'nai. And I know there's different opinions. I'm telling you the halacha, the way I have it from my poskim, is that not just for, I'm not sure if the green beans in the microwave is going to cut it. If a woman lights candles and she knows that, the microwave is going on 3 minutes, 2 minutes, and she wants to light candles, so she lights, I had to explain myself a little better. I'm sorry. I'm rushed against the clock. Okay, hang on. Breathe. Let's get down to the bottom line halacha as follows. If a woman lights candles, afterwards it's Shabbos no matter what, even if there's green beans, even if it's a refrigerator, even if it's a plata that hasn't been plugged in. If she lit candles and she just didn't have any, she didn't realize that she had to do something afterwards, that she has accepted Shabbat. She's allowed to have someone else in the family, in the house, a neighbor, whoever, do the prohibited labor for her, but she has already entered into Shabbat. This is all before sunset, of course. Now, if she realizes in advance, oh, the microwave is taking 10 minutes. I wanted to light candles early. So it's, unless what's in the microwave is going to make or break her Shabbat, it's best to have someone else take that out of the microwave. However, there is a case where something is so urgent that she knows, let's say, she has to go, so she's lighting in one place, she has to drive somewhere else to get to where she's going. She is allowed to light candles. And when she lights the candles, she specifically has in mind, she has a specific conscious stipulation that she is now lighting candles, but she's kind of declaring, I do not mean that this lighting of candles is tantamount to me accepting Shabbat. I'm creating an exception. I will accept Shabbat afterwards. Right now, I'm just lighting candles and that's it. Just take it at face value. That is permitted to do only if it's a really, 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 really important thing that needs to be done afterwards. If not, someone else should do it. Meaning, my wife asks me this question quite often. I checked out the halacha today again. Is, for example, if Baruch Hashem, women tzaddikim, tzaddikanias who daven mincha, and they want to light candles on time, but they want to daven mincha. If you light candles and accept Shabbat, when you say it's Shabbat, it means it's Shabbat. It means it's Friday night. It's already the next day. Mincha is the afternoon prayer of Friday. You can't accept Shabbat and also daven mincha. It's an internal contradiction. So, can I light candles? I want to be on time. Stipulate, have in mind that I'm not really accepting Shabbat, so I can daven mincha. The answer is no. The answer is it's better to accept Shabbat and miss mincha than to use that stipulation clause. The stipulation really should only be used when it's an urgent situation. It's better to miss mincha and have to daven Ma'ariv, the evening prayer, twice. Okay, I'm going to leave it here. There's a lot more details. Time is late. I will just ask if there are any questions, specifically questions connected to practical questions. I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Where does saying Shira Shirim fit in?
Okay. If not, I wish everyone a good day, a good Shabbos. Next week, I've already ordered a new software for my computer, new Windows uprooted. We're gonna flow. We're gonna flow, Bezrat Hashem. Okay. Be well. Kol tu.